Hello YouTube, this is Russian Torts here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a canister filter for the micro aquarium. Now this is the filter. I've already built a filter like this for my micro aquarium, and in this video I want to show you how I've done it. And really all you need is a big 2-liter bottle that's preferably in a square shape, just because that is easier to use. I'll explain why later. A little bit of airline tubing, you don't need a lot. Aquarium safe silicone glue, an X-Acto knife, and a soldering iron. Now the first step is to cut off the top of this bottle with the X-Acto knife. Now to know where you want to cut this off, you have to place the bottle next to your aquarium and see at what height your aquarium ends, and then cut the bottle off about 5 centimeters above that, so that you still have somewhere to put the tubes. So you want to go to your aquarium, measure out how high it is. If the aquarium is higher than the bottle, you want to set the bottle on some sort of object so that it's higher. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go measure the height of my aquarium. I'm just going to cut the bottle somewhere. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. Now that you have cut the bottle at the appropriate height, you can remove the top piece, as we will not need this anymore. And the next step is to use a soldering iron to create holes for the tubes to go at the top. That will be the outflow tubes of the filter. So the water will go in through the bottom of the filter and the water will flow out through the top of the filter. So right now we'll solder the holes for the outflow of the filter. So just use a soldering iron. And since this bottle is out of plastic and the soldering iron had enough time to heat up, it should just poke right through there and create a hole just big enough for the airline tubing. If your soldering iron is a bit smaller, just wiggle it around a bit in there and then try, if the airline tubing fits. If it's still a bit too tight, wiggle it around a bit more and work like that. So I'm gonna create 4 holes. The reason I'm gonna create 4 holes is if you only create 1 hole and you also have water flowing in through 1 tube, then you might have the problem that the water doesn't flow out as fast as it flows in, because obviously the water is being pumped in under pressure, and when it just runs through the tube, not as much runs through. So you want at least, I would say, 2 tube holes, but I just put 4 for precaution, and I'm going to do that right now and I'll be right back. Now that you have created 4 holes with the soldering iron, it's time to see, and you've seen if the tube fits, it's time to cut the tubes into little pieces that will fit through here. And what you want to have is not a long piece like tube attached to your filter. You want to have just a little piece, something this big, with only a tiny bit of the end poking into the filter and the rest poking over your aquarium wall into your aquarium. So that way you have the water running over your aquarium wall into the aquarium, and it's just a super simple way. So what you need to do is cut this tube, the airline tube you have, into 4 pieces that are about equal length, and then stick them in there. But once you put the tubes into the holes, you're gonna see that it might not be an airtight fit, which is why you have aquarium safe silicone. So what you want to do is put the tubes in there and then silicone from both sides and let it dry overnight. That way you make sure that there's no spaces anywhere for the water to get out of the filter apart from the hole in the middle of the tube. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. Now, as you can see, I glued one of the tubes in with silicone, and I siliconed both sides. I don't know if that's visible, but I put silicone on both sides. And another important thing you want to focus on is that the tube is pointing downwards from so that the higher end of the tube is in the filter and the lower end of the filter, the lower end of the tube is going out of the filter, because otherwise the water won't flow out of those tubes. It will just go over the top of the filter, because let's say this is pointing up. The end of it is actually almost as high, or it's basically as high as the top of the filter. So the water will not flow through there. So you really have to have it pointing down. For this demonstration, I only did 1 because otherwise I'd be wasting silicone and airline tubing. But now that you basically know how I made this filter, I'm gonna show you the filter in action and explain a bit I'm gonna explain you a bit on what filter material you should use and what type of pump and that type of stuff. So let me just walk up to my room real quick and I'll show you the filter in action. So I got back up to my room and I'll show you the filter in action right now. This is what it's currently filtering. It's filtering a 2-liter Nano Planet aquarium with 2 red cherry shrimp, some Java moss, this middle thing's some type of fern, I don't know what it is, and some micro swords. So the filter is in the back here. I'll just shine the light on it. There we go. And the way it works is I have a water pump that's pumping water from the aquarium through that sponge back there into the bottom of that filter. The black tube going down all the way there is the water intake pump of the filter basically. It's going into the filter, the water's getting pushed through all the filter material up all the way here, and then it goes through these 4 outflow tubes, I guess. And as you can see there, only one is actually flowing strong and 2 others are dripping. So if I just had 1 tube in there, it would probably overflow, but since I have 4 tubes, I can put it and it will never overflow. So now as for what filter material you want to use, first of all, you want to filter it, the water, you want to put a sponge over the intake tube. That way you won't suck up any big pieces of debris like leftover fish food or big pieces of fish poop, because if you suck that up and it gets stuck in that pump and it clogs up the pump, it's a pain in the butt. So what you want to do is put a big sponge around the intake tube. Then what you want to do is, as a bottom layer, have aquarium wool, because if you filter the water straight through these big pieces here, there's still small particles left in it. If you filter it through aquarium wools, there's no chance of small particles being left in the water, because aquarium wool is very fine and it will take out any small pieces of debris out of the water. So you want to have a bottom layer of aquarium wool, and on top you want to add something that bacteria can build up on really well. So what I have is these ceramic tubes that are really porous and bacteria can build up on them. You really can use anything that's really porous. I've heard that the substrate I'm using here, fluval stratum, is actually really porous as well, so I could use that too, for example. And yeah, that's basically how you build a filter. It's really cheap. The only thing you need to buy is the aquarium pump. The other stuff you might have lying around in your house. I did, because I have a lot of fish aquariums. So in total this filter cost me about $15, and it's just really efficient because it has so much filter material in there that you don't need a lot of flow, which is nice in a small aquarium because you don't really want to have a lot of flow in it. Now if you have any questions about this filter or about this aquarium, please leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and until next time.